Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hartford Whalers expansion franchise here on NHL 24. In the last episode, we got eliminated by the New York Islanders in the second round in 6 games. And in this episode, we're set to simulate the Stanley Cup Final, which features Minnesota and the aforementioned New York Islanders. And now we'll advance a day here as Minnesota takes Game 1. 4-0. A shutout performance there by Philip Gustafsson. And a good matchup here between New York, that haven't been in the final in like 40 years, and Minnesota, their first Stanley Cup appearance in franchise history. The Islanders tie it up there as they take Game 2, 3-2. Now it comes down to 5 games. And now we'll keep it moving here after the Islanders take Game 2. And then Minnesota, they win Game 3, 3-2. So back-to-back games settled by just 1 goal. And now Minnesota takes Game 4, 2-1. So the previous 3 games now decided by just 1 goal. Let's see if Minnesota takes it in 5. Dallas Stars fire their head coach. And the Minnesota Wild are Stanley Cup champions for the first time in franchise history. Tremendous series from season from them. Top team in the West. And they end up winning the Cup. They defeat the New York Islanders in 5 games. And now we can look at awards. Of course, Edmonton won it last year in our year 1 of this franchise. Minnesota takes it this year. And the past 4 Stanley Cup champions out of the Western Conference. The Rangers, the President's Trophy winners. And that's funny, the last 4 Stanley Cup champions out of the West, but the last 4 President's Trophy winners out of the East. Funny how that lines up. Prince of Wales to the Islanders, of course, and the Clarence S. Campbell Bowl to the Wild. Now, individual awards. Tage Thompson, the Art Ross Trophy. Last year, it was Braden Point. Hart Memorial to Tage Thompson again. Cale Makar, his second Norris Memorial Trophy as the league's top defenseman. The Lady Byng goes to David Pasternak. Calder Memorial Trophy to Shane Wright, and I guess he didn't play last year. Rookie season for Shane Wright. So 2 of the last 3 Calder have come from Seattle. Connor Bedard winning it last year. The Conn Smythe to Kaprizov, and for those who saw last episode, he was on just an absurd pace, 14 goals in 17 games entering the Stanley Cup Final. I don't even know how many he put in the back of the net in that series. The Vezina goes to Darcy Kemper. A good rebound season from him with the Capitals. William M. Jennings to Elvis Merzlikins, who we took down in round 1 in the playoffs. Masterson Memorial Trophy to Jonas Siegenthaler. And Jack Adams goes to our boy Schneider. I've done a lot of NHL franchises in my day, and I can't even tell you, I don't think I've had maybe more than 3 or 4 Jack Adams Award recipients. So, great season here by Hartford, as evidenced there as we get the Coach of the Year. Frank J. Selke Trophy to Kopitar. Add that one to all his hard work he's accumulated over his career, playing with San Jose this season. The Ted Lindsay to Tage Thompson. And lastly, the Maurice Richard Trophy, Jeff Skinner, the most goals this season. And now we'll just fast forward ahead, as I think the NHL Draft Lottery is going to occur any day now. As I recall, I think St. Louis, Dallas, and Philly, and maybe San Jose were the top favorites to land the number 1 overall pick. And here we go. Philadelphia Flyers win the NHL Draft Lottery. And as a Flyers fan, I'm pumped up about that one. Of course, our Hartford Whalers won it last year, and we selected Sammy Mockey number 1 overall. But this year, there's a clear-cut number 1 prospect. We kind of got unlucky winning the lottery last year. There wasn't a clear number 1 franchise caliber player. But this year, there certainly is. Jyrki Kontanen, and we'll take a look at his player draft card here in a sec, but he's likely to end up a Philadelphia Flyer. The Detroit Red Wings jump all the way up to 3 from 13, as San Jose falls from 2 to 4, Dallas falls from 4 to 5. Montreal had the 8th pick from Calgary, And they also picked 12th as well. So Montreal with number 8 and number 12. Nashville with number 16, as they got that from Tampa Bay. And the Predators had a really nice playoff run there. We failed our concession happiness goal, as we really just don't have any money to pour into that right now. And we will get a look at the draft class here shortly after retirements. And now we'll sim ahead, and here are the retired players this year. Milan Lucic retires an Ottawa Senator. Very good career there with the Boston Bruins. Played a lot of years there for Calgary. And he didn't really play as long as I thought he did with Boston, but a very good player there, and I believe he won a cup with them. Brian Little, Ryan McDonough, tremendous defenseman there, over 1,000 games played. Michael Froehlich, Cal Clutterbuck, Mark Stahl, Justin Braun, and really not too many noteworthy players here. And I still think Ovechkin, Crosby, Malkin, they're all still in the mix. What about goalies? Carey Price does retire, 373 career wins, 50 shutouts. A good career there with the Montreal Canadiens. And now Mark Stahl's a coach with the Boston Bruins. Milan Lucic a coach with the Ottawa Senators. Scouts, Ryan McDonough a scout, Joe Thornton a scout in Boston, and Carey Price a scout with the Canadiens. I like that aspect here of this game. And we only lost a coach there in the AHL to retirement. Nothing noteworthy there. And I always sim draft interviews. It really doesn't do much. And now we will edit our trade block. I don't think there's any way to have the computer not mess with the trade block. They're just constantly always adding players and stuff. So there are some players I actually thought about who I wanted to add here. And I'll start with JT Compher. The 30-year-old two-way forward. A decent season. 38 points, a plus 27, 41 points last year. A very good role player, but, with guys like Jake Evans, Nolan Patrick, a little bit younger, a little bit more productive. Compher with one more year on his contract. I think he's someone we'll look to move this offseason. Who else we got here? No one for left wing. About right wingers. Arvidsson, I think maybe we'll throw on the block. He started off very slow, but a good second half of the season. 40 points, down from his production last year. Now 32. One more year on his deal. I think we'll just throw him on the block as well, see if we get any offers. And now for defensemen, I think we'll just stand pat for now. Really no one we're trying to get rid of. Same with goalies. We'll just leave that be. So nothing crazy here. We have Compher and Arvidsson on the block. And we'll try to maybe move one of them after the draft. And now speaking of the draft, before we jump into it, we'll just take a look at the draft class here. And here's Jyrki Kontanen, a franchise potential right-wing sniper. A+, A+ for shooting puck skills. A for senses skating. A- physical. A defense. 5'8", 167. Just has to bulk up a little bit, but already ready for the NHL. Comparison here to Teemu Selanne, and he's going to be a stud for the Philadelphia Flyers. Then there's Christopher Versteeg, Mats Tomernis, Jordan Gavin, Michael Misa, Paul Bradford, Mika Filppula, Topi Antila, and a couple more players here at the top, Roger McQueen. But let's go down to 25, where I think our pick is. And there's really no one who completely stands out at this vicinity of the first round. Andrei Vorobiev, 23rd ranked on our board. A Theo Fleury comparison. A right winger. We don't have his player style fully scouted, but he certainly looks like a sniper here. Going up a little bit, Victor Kasparaitis, Nicholas Lundstrom, and I would really like Scott Benson here. Left wing playmaker, comparison to Claude Giroux, but it looks like he'll probably be gone like a pick before we go up. Here's Gabriel D'Aigle, a first-round potential goalie. But this is someone I really like, Kakko. Correction, a right-handed shot offensive defenseman. It says he's NHL ready, comparisons to PK Subban. And we do need a right-handed shot defenseman. But he is someone we're going to have to trade up like 5 or 6 spots to. So he's a guy we're going to keep in the back of our mind there in the first round. We maybe even move out of the first round, but it's likely that Kasparaitis or Vorobiev are our first-round pick. But then there's also Quinn Sparks here, a 6'3", 188-pound right winger. Looks like he probably will be a two-way forward. And a comparison there to Joe Pavelski. Now we'll just go over to our actual draft board and take a look at some players, potential players at each pick. So we have the first 25th pick in the first round. We just saw a few of those players. But then we have here Casey Hamilton, a gem two-way forward, ranked 39th on the board, but still a top 6 forward potential. TJ Oshie comparison. And if you saw last draft, you know we love going for the gems. So I don't know if we'll reach for him in the first, but maybe trade down into the second, pick up a few more picks. And then in the second round, we're going to have pick 58, I believe. And that's right after Lucas Reed here, a gem defenseman, and Kelly Donald, a gem goaltender. Like I said, we're at 58, and these guys are at 55, 56 respectively. So I think we're probably going to trade up for one of these players, more likely to defenseman. A left defenseman, but he's a right-handed shot. No weaknesses, two-way player with offensive instincts and defensive zone play as strengths. I would consider Donald a little bit more, but we actually selected Javon Marks in the second round last year. He was a gem goaltender, so we don't really need to go for a goalie in this draft. Then for our third round pick, we're going to pick at 91. And Keegan Cameron here, right-handed defenseman, probably not going to be there. So it looks like we don't really have a target at that spot. And maybe we'll package our third round pick to maybe trade up in the first. Then in the fourth, we're going to pick at 124. And we have 3 guys here, 120, 121, 122. But it looks like neither of them will be available unless one of them slip. Arthur Seabrook, a defenseman. Ross Abdelkader, two-way forward left wing with good size. And then Omar Grossman, a winger sniper. And that's basically it for our board. So really not too many options in the later rounds. And still, it's very up in the air at what we're going to do with our first round pick. And here goes nothing. We'll just go ahead and enter the 2025 NHL Draft. The Philadelphia Flyers are on the clock. And there's a good chance everybody knows who they're going to select. We'll just take one more look at the draft class here. Christopher Versteeg, number 2 overall. And I think a lot of us hockey fans are familiar with another Chris Versteeg. So I think our main target in the first round here is going to be Jyrki Kakko, right-handed offensive defenseman. And we're probably going to have to trade up a few spots for him. Other than that, we really don't have a real backup plan. Scott Benson would be nice, but I don't know if he's going to make it to our pick. So we'll just go ahead and manually simulate here as the Philadelphia Flyers do select Jyrki Kuntanen, a right-wing sniper compared to Teemu Selanne, and he's going to be a stud there in Philadelphia. St. Louis selects Christopher Versteeg. Detroit takes a right-wing two-way forward with elite potential after they jumped up all the way from 13. San Jose takes Jordan Gavin. Dallas takes Michael Misa. Winnipeg now a disappointing season after making the playoffs last year. Same for the Vegas Golden Knights. Each team there takes a left winger. Montreal, one of 2 top 12 picks here. They go with a left wing two-way forward. The Devils go with a center. Now Vancouver, rounding out the top 10, go with a right wing. I did not mean to initiate a trade there with Colorado, as they take Roger McQueen. Now Montreal, their second pick here, as they go with a center. A left wing and a center taken here by Montreal. And now let's look at the draft board here. How far is Kakko ranked right now? So he's about the 9th best prospect on the board. So maybe we could have to trade up like, I don't know, we'd probably have to trade up to like 17 or so if we wanted to ensure that we could get him. Spence there to Boston. We'll simulate one more. Carolina picks Martone. Let's take another look at the draft board here. And there are still 3 defensemen ahead of Kakko, so we'll simulate a few more picks here before we try to do a trade. Now, back-to-back defensemen go off the board here. And I think we might want to try and trade with the Los Angeles Kings. Let's see, Washington. So, yeah, still one more defenseman ranked ahead of Kakko. And let's just go in here with LA and see what it would take. We'll give them 25, so a 7-pick difference here in the first round. And I doubt throwing our 6th in there would do it, but yeah, they don't want that. What if we threw in Victor Arvidsson? They do not have interest in him, or else his odd name would be Green. They don't have interest in either of the players we have on the block. So it's going to have to be another pick. What about a 1 and a 4? I don't suspect this will work either. What about a 1 and a 3? Because we didn't even really have a true target in the 3rd round. What if we do that and try to get back like a 6 next year? They reject that as well. What about a 7 next year? And that doesn't get the job done either. So we'll back out of that, simulate one more and see. And just ensure that Kakko is on the board, which he is. As the Capitals take that last defenseman ranked ahead of Kakko. Now let's jump back into this one with LA. We'll throw back our 25th overall pick. A 3rd. And then what else would it take? We already are without our 3rd and 4th next year, so I don't really want to dip into any more picks for next season. Any players that tickle their fancy? I don't want to really give up Chaika in this deal. Maybe Bolduc or Tucker. If we could throw in Tucker here, that would be awesome. We'll take away that 3rd, though, and make it a 4. And see if this gets the job done. Still rejected. What if we make that a 3? Try to throw in a 6 for next year. Still rejected. What about a 7 next year? And I really do appreciate how difficult these trades are. It makes it a lot more fun and interesting. You know, you play the show or like Madden, you could just totally reap the benefits here against the CPU. So what if we don't get any picks in return? A 1 to 3 and Tucker. Still rejected. Do they really want us to throw in another pick here? I really don't want to do that. So I think we might just bypass this chance here. They are interested in Hansel, a 5th round pick from our first draft class, or a 6th round pick from our first draft class. But I kind of like him. I don't think he would really alter the trade that much here. I think we're going to pass. I mean, I think it's a very reasonable offer here just to move up 7 picks, but maybe we'll simulate a couple more and see if we can maybe trade up to like 20. And that's who the Kings select. They do take our target, Ricky Kakko, and he's going to be a Los Angeles King. Our trade effort did not work out here. Seattle takes a center. Arizona up. They take a right wing lander. Vegas takes Belak. Now Anaheim. They take the goalie, Gabriel D'Aigle, and he's going to be an Anaheim Duck. A 22 overall pick there for the goaltender. Calgary takes a left wing. Pittsburgh now up, and we're on deck. Let's take a look at the board. And Benson is still there, the guy I said I would kind of like to take. But I think Pittsburgh's going to go with him. So that pretty much leaves it up to Nicholas Lundstrom, a center, left-handed sniper, Face-offs look like his strength, although we're not fully scouted on him. There's Victor Kasparaitis, who we talked about. I think looks like a left wing, two-way forward maybe. Don't really have much uncovered on him either. Vorobiev would be our highest rated scouted player, assuming Benson is picked here. And he looks to be a right wing sniper. Then there's Quinn Sparks, but scout rank at 28. We would probably go with Vorobiev, Kasparaitis, or Lundstrom. We'll just simulate this and see who Pittsburgh takes. And they do take Benson. So I want to see if we get any trade offers here for this first rounder. Do fine trade. We get 4 offers here. Bjorkstrand, no thank you. Sprong, no thank you. Teravainen, I mean, not awful, but St. Louis just signed him last offseason. 4 years, $7 million deal. 46 points this past season. And he's not someone we're really going to look to take in right now. So nothing doing there on the trade market. It looks like we will have to make a selection, as we have 225 now left to pick. I don't have a true preference here. I mean, Vorobiev does have an X Factor ability. What about Kasparaitis? He does not. Lundstrom does not either. And I wish we had more uncovered here for Lundstrom. I like that he plays center. I like that he's a sniper. It looks like face-offs might be a strength of his. But he's ranked 26th according to our scouts, compared to Vorobiev here, who's ranked 23rd. Goal scoring, pro release, offensive instincts, no weaknesses. Very good shooter, puck skills and sense is good. And then C for skating, physical, defense. Top 6 forward potential. And a comparison here to Theo Fleury. So I think Andrei Vorobiev is going to be the pick here. And that's who we select. Vorobiev out of Russia. Number 48, right winger. And he's a sniper. So hopefully he scores a lot of goals here for us in this Hartford Whalers franchise. The Blue Jackets there take Kasparaitis. Buffalo, and that center is still there, Lundstrom. As he's fallen here in the first round. There, finally, the Rangers take him at 29. Blackhawks with back-to-back picks here as they go with a defenseman and then Quinn Sparks, who we thought about taking. The Islanders now up as they take a defenseman. The Eastern Conference champs, and now the Minnesota Wild. And we'll just go back. I hate that it just jumps ahead to the second and doesn't let us see who they pick. And they go with a defenseman. So now we're set to select 58th here. And I wish you could simulate ahead like 10 picks. It's either to simulate 1 or simulate all the way to your pick. But I don't want to quite do that because I want to see who's going to be available like 3 or 4 picks ahead of us. And back-to-back centers there for Calgary. One of them, Casey Hamilton, a two-way forward we had scouted as a gem in this class. And I will just skip ahead a little bit here in the second round. The Flames with another pick. They pick a left wing. Philly up. They take a defenseman. And how many now are we away? Still a good bit. We'll simulate up until these Arizona picks. Did not mean to jump into this trade. We were trying to trade for your first rounder, not your second rounder, LA. They take another defenseman. Now Philly up. They take a center. Arizona here with back-to-back picks. And they took our boy Lucas Reed, who I was really hoping for in this round. I was going to simulate maybe like 2 more picks and try to work a trade for him, but he doesn't make it to where I was hoping. So a very good selection there by Arizona. And now let's take a look at the board. We have Kelly Donald here, gem goalie, but we've taken goalies in back-to-back years. He's still 5 years away from NHL time, so not someone we would want to trade up for. He's probably going to be gone as, Calgary takes him there. What are that, 4 second-round picks for Calgary? I mean, I guess it's something we should expect after all the trades they've made in real life, present day, and in this franchise series. So now here in the second round, here we got Alexei Kulemin, a defenseman, character, work ethic, physical play, all strengths, and you love to see that. Seems like he'd be a great locker room guy. But I'm very interested here in Amrit Edwards. 6'2", 206-pound grinder. Strength, physical play, defensive zone play is strengths. And decent ratings all around, although skating there to D. You need grinders if you want to be successful NHL teams. And Edwards seems like a guy who would come in a few years and just be a very good player for us. So we're going to take the physical presence there after going with the sniper in round 1. And we'll just simulate now to the 3rd round. Now looking ahead to pick 91, I know we didn't really have a clear target, but we'll just revisit and see who we're hoping for at this point. I mean, Keegan Cameron would be awesome right-handed defenseman, but he's not likely to be there. And there's Colton Cam, Ola Soderstrom, Vesa Heikkila. Really no intriguing options. But we're just going to simulate at this point all the way to our pick and see who we're working with. And then we see Cameron goes 2 spots ahead to the Florida Panthers. So let's take a look at who we can decide from. And really it's just Soderstrom or Heikkila here. 2 left wingers. Soderstrom not fully scouted. Heikkila ranked 91st on our board. What about fine trade? I would like to maybe get a pick for next year, seeing as how we're without 2 picks. No trades found. What if we package our 6th? So if we do a 3 and a 6, Boston will give us their 2 for next year, and I really like that deal. Same with Buffalo, Colorado, Florida. So 5 teams here offering us their 2 for next year. And let's think, who do we think is going to be the worst out of all these teams? Tampa Bay missed the playoffs. It seems like they're kind of on a downward spiral. Florida should be strong again. Colorado missed the playoffs, but I think they'll be back in. Buffalo had a great year. Boston's always in contention. So I think we'll make the trade here with Tampa Bay and send our 3rd and 6th here, 91 and 190 overall, and pick up a 2 for next year. Very happy about that. And now that gives us a pair of 2nd round picks next draft, although we only have 1 pick remaining here in this year's draft. Let's see who they pick after trading. They picked Soderstrom. And that was probably going to be the guy we went with if we stood pat there. So let's simulate to our pick 124 in the 4th round, our last selection here in this draft. And a couple guys here, Timo Engren, a 2-way defenseman, potential as a 7th defenseman, so I don't think we would really waste a pick on him right here. Maybe someone with more potential. We don't have anything really scouted on this goalie, Terrence Brody. Another goalie here, Tumo Luutinen, but his potential only has him as an AHL starter. So, I mean, we're not going to find too much potential at this stage, but let's see. Let's go by scout rank. Engren is at the top, followed by those 2 goalies we already checked out. Cyrus Morrow, right-handed shot forward. Another grinder here, Varlamov. Leadership, work ethic, physical play. And I think we'll just go with Varlamov here. I mean, it doesn't hurt to get grit on the team, so we'll see if he pans out. I don't know. There's still a couple guys down here. Bill Zonin, ranked 136 on our board. I don't know. I wish I did. I kind of had like some support here. Live streaming these would be kind of fun. Although I've yet to do that. Yeah, we're just going to go with the forward here, the grinder. Yeah, we're going to go with another grinder. What was that, only 3 selections in this draft for us? Sim to the next round, now the 5th round. Sim to the next round again. And we'll do it again. And we'll just simulate now to the end of the draft. So that'll do it here for the 2025 NHL Entry Draft. Only 3 selections made by Hartford. We get Vorobiev in the 1st, Edwards in the 2nd. We trade our 3rd and 6th round picks for a 2nd rounder next year. And we get Varlamov there. Only 3 draft picks this year. But when you think back and consider the moves we made, we traded some picks for Markstrom. We traded some picks for Issa Lindell. So very worth it. And we do have some guys already in the AHL that are set to develop here. And now we do have to re-sign our head coaches. Our head coach along with 2 other coaches. Ricky Schneider, fresh off a Jack Adams Award. And of course, we want to bring him back. Do 4 years, 1.678. And we'll just focus on him for now. As we head into player re-signings. And we're also going to have to worry about scouts as well. Now we'll get into re-signings. And we are going to have some difficult decisions to make, I think. We'll just start here at center. And first up is Jake Evans. I gotta say, he's probably a fan favorite so far in this series. Career high here in points with 38. 13 goals ties a career high. And 25 assists, a career high as well. 3 shorthanded goals led the team. And he just seems to be a clutch player for us. Love him there on the 4th line, but someone who could probably play on the 3rd line as well. Especially with JT Compher maybe up for trade. So very similar players, but I kind of give the nod here to Evans at this point. And I don't mind giving him a 2-year deal. Let's go down to 1.8 and see if he takes that one. Next up is Nolan Patrick. A very good showing here in 71 games. Career high in points, goals, ties, and assists. And like a similar player to Evans, but maybe a higher ceiling. That's kind of what intrigues me. Although if you go over here to wants extension, he's no. So we're not going to offer him a contract, but we will qualify him here at 1.3. Maybe see if someone gives him an offer in free agency. Connor McMichael is a strange one. Played 54 games in year 1, just 27 here in year 2. That was split in half, only 5 points in that time. So maybe someone we qualify here. And yeah, he would only be demanding not much. So I think we'll qualify him. And he's going to have to earn a spot in year 3. Next up is Gage Gonsalves, an expansion pick from the Tampa Bay Lightning. A very good offensive showing there in the AHL as he improved there for our Poughkeepsie Panthers. And I think we'll just qualify him as well. Most likely bring him back on the AHL squad. And then we have a bunch more here, AHL players on restricted deals. Riley Damiani was part of our original Poughkeepsie Panthers team, along here with the Army or Pitlick. So we'll qualify those 2, or actually we'll just offer them 1-year deals in the AHL there. As just placeholders for now until we get some of our youth in there. And now here's Tommaso De Luca, our 7th round pick of our inaugural entry draft class. 63 overall. Not really a high ceiling, but we'll just bring him in. He was part of our original class, so we'll get him going at least 3 years there in the AHL. Moving over to left wingers, we actually don't have any left wingers under contract throughout our entire organization right now. We'll start here with the captain, Andrew Mangiapane, and he's someone I totally meant to extend during the regular season, but just never got around to it. He wants 4 years at 5.1. I think it's very reasonable with what he's been able to do. Let's just go down to 5 and 3 years and see how that goes over. Now, Marcus Foligno, 33 years old. And, he's the guy who fights for us. Every team needs one of those guys. And that's what he provides. I don't know if he starts. He started 77, 79 the year prior. I don't know if he's going to be the guy that, starts every day at this point in his career and at this point of the series. But, we definitely want to bring him back. We love what he brings. 1 year at 1.8. Now down to Philip Zadina. Tremendous season from him. Career year, career highs, every offensive category, a plus 14. And he's really resurrected his career here in Hartford after being picked 6th overall by Detroit. Let's see what he's offering or demanding. So he's actually demanding $5 million, and we'll just qualify his restricted status and see what he demands there in free agency. Will Coyle now, a great season there in the AHL. No games yet at the NHL level for Hartford besides the preseason, but he expects to compete for a roster spot this year. We'll give him a 1-year deal on a 2-way contract, and we'll bump that up to $900. Blade Jenkins, part of our original AHL team, we'll bring him back. And then there's Toporowski, who's a leader here on this AHL team. We want to keep him there as well. And here's Zeb Forsvahal, a 4th-round pick of our original draft class, and we'll sign him out of juniors. Now we'll go over to right wing, and we'll start with Patrick Kane, a very tough decision to make here. By far our leading points getter in these 2 seasons, as he came over as a member of our first free agent class there in episode 2 of this entire series. Let's see what he's demanding. He wants 7.2, which is pretty much what we've paid him the last 2 years. I think for now, we'll just let him hit the open market, see if he demands anything. But the ultimate plan here in this offseason, we're trying to make a run at Austin Matthews, and we're hoping he hits the market. Now is Graham Clark. Very good progression there in year 2 with Poughkeepsie in the AHL, and he's someone who's going to compete for a roster spot. We'll give him a 1-year, 2-way contract at 0.925. And we'll do the same here for Jacob Perreault, another right-wing sniper. And he's pretty much competing with Graham Clark this year for a roster spot. Now Ollie Lykesell, our leading point getter for the AHL team last year, we'll bring him back. And that's going to do it for right wingers for now. Now the defenseman. And I think it gets a little difficult here as well. Esa Lindell, we traded for at the trade deadline, 7 points in 15 games with Hartford in the regular season. In the playoffs, he had 1 goal, a -1. He is our top-rated defenseman, and this is a unit we're going to strongly focus on improving in the free agent market. So we'll try and start with bringing him back. A 4-year deal at just over 5, very reasonable. Let's try to go for 5.1 on 2 years. We don't really want to get caught in a situation with regression as we signed Dmitry Orlov. He's now kind of slipping a little bit. Tyson Barrie kind of in that same boat, although he had a very strong postseason, and we have him for 1 more year. And then we have Cody Ceci, who I'm very conflicted about. Great year, maybe the best of his career. 11 goals, 12 assists, 23 points at a +22. But like I said, we really want to improve this defensive unit. We have Tyson Barrie as one of our right defensemen. Sean Walker still under contract, although I'm not super committed to keeping him as an every game starter. But let's see what Ceci's demanding here. Under $3 million, very reasonable. But I don't know if we're going to commit to bringing him back quite yet. Sebastian Aho was just a last-second free agent signing last offseason. 13 points in 57 games. A +13 kind of just brought a little offensive firepower to our defensive unit. We'll hold off on re-signing him for now, but we'll maybe revisit once he hits the open market. Then 2 defensemen here, Tyler Tucker and Samuel Bolduc. Tucker actually played 2 games with Hartford this year, 19 last year. So no points in 21 games and a -7 for Tyler Tucker. He might be part of a deal this offseason, but until further notice, he'll compete here with Samuel Bolduc for a roster spot. But I think it might be Bolduc's time to step up to the NHL. We'll give him a 1-year, 2-way deal at 0.95. And then we'll go to Tucker and give him a 1-year deal as well at around the same value. Going down, here's DeLibertor, 76 overall. No NHL experience yet, although he's been very good for Poughkeepsie. And we'll bring him back for another season in the AHL. Not sure if he'll ever crack the NHL roster, but if injuries happen, he would be one of the first men called up. And that'll bring us here to Hunter Brzustewicz, our 2nd-round pick of our inaugural NHL Entry Draft class. Very good year there with the Kitchener Rangers, and he's now ready to come down to the United States and play some hockey. Give him 3 years, $900,000 entry-level deal. And that takes us to Daniil Chaika, the centerpiece of our Matt Grzelcyk trade at the deadline last season. Maybe not quite ready for NHL time, but probably just 1 year away, if that. We'll just continue on now with a couple more defenseman signings here for the AHL. And then we also have Jeremy Hanzel, Seattle Thunderbird defenseman who we drafted in the original class. And he's ready for some AHL hockey. Now over to goaltenders. Markstrom, the only goalie under contract right now. And we have to decide whether or not we want to bring back Scott Wedgwood, our backup goaltender, in the first 2 years of this series. 19, 12, and 6, as he had to play a lot last year for the injured Jacob Markstrom. I think we'll hold off for now, but we'll let him hit the open market. And there's actually some good goaltenders maybe set to hit the market. Shesterkin, Georgiev, a couple others. So we're going to maybe stand pat there and see what hits the market. Now here's Daniil Tarasov. He's been our third string goalie throughout this series. 12 games played, a 5-6-1 record. Numbers not that great, but a very good AHL goalie now at an 80 overall. I'm not quite sure. I think we'll just qualify him for now. And then there's Arthur Silovs. He's been good in the AHL, though a down year this past year. Very good the year prior, maybe regressing a little bit. I don't know. We'll just leave him be for now. Actually, I think we'll get rid of Dechow here. He was very good. He was 4-0 in 5 games last year. But we're going to bring in Scott Ratzlaff here, our third-round pick of our original class. And that kind of kicks Dechow out. And with that, we will, I guess, bring Silovs back for 1 more year as well. So that'll do it for the first round of re-signings. Let's see how this goes. Ricky Schneider re-signs, and I thought that was going to be a little bit harder. I'll certainly take that. Our Jack Adams Award winner returns. He's been the head man here. 79, 67, and 18 so far with the Hartford Whalers. He signs a 4-year deal to remain the head coach here. Andrew Mangiapane re-signs. That was easy. Lindell re-signs. That was easy. Foligno, we're going to have to come back to him. Same with Evans. Samuel Bolduc will be back. Silovs, Jenkins, Coyle, Chaika, Leixel, and a bunch more AHL guys. Graham Clark, Brzustowicz, Hanzel, Scott Ratzlaff, Forsvahal. And that was pretty successful. I think Foligno and Evans the only ones to deny their contracts. So now we really just have to focus on bringing back Jake Evans and Marcus Foligno. And we'll start again here with Evans. We'll just give him what he wants, 2 years at 1.9. And now Foligno, we really don't want to sign him for more than 1 year. So now we'll just go to 1.9, the same value as we're giving Evans, just on a 1-year deal instead of 2. Some ahead, we get a scout re-signing. A few scout re-signings here. Re-sign our associate coach. And we do not... Did we re-sign our assistant coach? Evans re-signs, but Foligno does not. And then just a bunch of AHL re-signings there. And we'll just re-offer our... He wants to be an associate head coach, but we're trying to bring him back as our assistant. Let's go back to Foligno and try again for this 1-year deal. Go to 1.95. And then we still have Zadina, Nolan Patrick as a notable restricted free agents. Patrick Kane's going to hit the market. And we're not going to re-sign Cody Ceci. We'll let him hit the market and see if we can hopefully get an upgrade there. Same with Scott Wedgwood. Maybe we can get an upgrade there at backup goalie. Scott re-signing. Foligno still not coming back. He wants a multi-year deal. Let's try again, 1 year at $2 million now. And if that doesn't work, we'll probably just go for the 2-year deal. And again, our assistant coach not accepting that, nor is Foligno. So now we'll try a 2-year deal for Foligno. And now it's saying years wanted 1. I could have swore he wanted 2. We'll try 1 year at $2 million again. Was he demanding 1 this whole time? Connor McMichael accepts his offer. Gonzalez does as well. And we're now on the last day of re-signings here. We'll just make it a 2-year deal here for Foligno at $2 million. I don't know. We'll try another 1 year here at 2.05 and see how that goes. So Zadina and Patrick set to be restricted free agents. Patrick Kane, Cody Ceci, Aho, and Wedgwood will become free agents here after we sim this day. And then Foligno finally does re-sign. We do have to hire a new assistant coach. And you see at the top, multiple morale changes because Patrick Kane was not re-signed. We'll go back to the trade block, and you see there, they just altered it again. We'll do it again here. We'll put Arvidsson and Comfer. And depending on what's in free agency, they might be moved. And we're also going to throw Tyler Tucker on the block as well. I think we're going to move him this offseason. Now we'll get our initial look at the free agent class, and let's hope Austin Matthews is there. And I do not see him, so he must have got re-signed. That's a big bummer. We were planning on making a huge run here at Austin Matthews. Really not as strong of a class as I was expecting here at first glance. Victor Hedman, Brad Marchand, headline, each over 34 years of age. Jacob Slavin here, a good defenseman. Maybe we'll target him. Caden Gooley, Cole Perfetti, 60 points last year, career year for him. But I think he's a restricted free agent. Let's see. And yes, he's a restricted free agent, so we would probably have to give up like a 2 and other picks for him. What about Brock Besser here? He was traded to Winnipeg at the deadline, 14 points in 18 games with them. Is he he's not a restricted free agent at demanding about 5.5 per year. I think we might make a run at him. Christian Dvorak, Zadina there for us. Gavrikov, someone I was kind of targeting if we maybe miss out on a better option. The top right-handed defenseman on the market, Christopher Tanev, at 35 years old. And yeah, like I said, a kind of an underwhelming class. I was hoping for a lot more here. But I mean, a lot of the top guys, I guess, went back to their own teams. I really didn't think that Toronto was going to be able to afford Austin Matthews. Now over to goalie. Shesterkin is on the market. Logan Thompson, who's one of the best backups in the league last year. Billy Husso, Leonard, Allen, Askarov, and Wedgwood, of course, is there as well. So we got some things to think about. A little underwhelming here. And I don't really know how we're going to approach this. I do know for certain, though, one player we are going to offer. That's going to be Brock Besser here. As I mentioned, he was traded to Winnipeg at the trade deadline. A good season from him, as his offensive production has been very consistent over the past 3 or 4 seasons. A right-wing sniper, and we'll give him the 3 years that he wants and bump it up to about, we'll do 5.6 here. Another player we're going to offer is Sam Steele, a left-handed playmaking center, 45-point season, fresh off a Stanley Cup championship here with Minnesota. Career highs there in assists and points. 9 power play points as well. a unit we need help in. He only wants 1 year. I wouldn't mind giving him 2 though. But I don't know if like you give him more, would that negate his interest? Like, does he only want 1, or would he be open to a multi-year deal here? We'll just bump it up to, let's say, 3.1 and try and outbid the Rangers. So I think that'll do it for forwards for now. And then on defense, I was very conflicted. Jacob Slavin, he would be a great addition, one of the probably a top 15 defensemen in the league, but he wants 4 years at close to $10 million, and he'll be 35 by the time that contract runs out, and I don't really want to commit that much money to someone who's going to be 35 unless they're maybe a top 5, top 10 defenseman, kind of just outside that range I'd be willing to pay for. So instead, we're going to pursue Ivan Provorov, 85 overall, 28 years old. He only wants 3 years, just over $5 million, so he'll still probably be like towards his prime by the time this contract ends. We'll bump him up to 4.5 as we try to outbid the Capitals. 3-year deal there for Provorov, I think very reasonable and very team-friendly. Over at goalie now, Igor Shesterkin, very tempting, but I don't think we're really at a point where we can just pour, $9.5 million into a goalie. We still have Markstrom for 1 more year, and while we do expect some regression, I think he'll still be able to hold it down for us. Very tempting here is Yaroslav Askarov, a former 11th overall pick in 2020, a restricted free agent, and right now he's only seeking $2.5 million, and that would only net Nashville maybe a 3rd rounder or a 4th rounder. I'm not quite sure how that works. So we might pursue him. We'll sim ahead a little bit. But otherwise, Peter Mrazek is a backup we're considering, along here with Dan Vladar. I think we're going to move on from Scott Wedgwood. As funny as this may sound, he has very low locker room chemistry with Sami Maki, our first overall pick from last offseason. So we kind of want to cater to Maki and also get a little upgrade there. Anton Forsberg was very good last season as Ottawa's starter, 5 shutouts on the year, 25, 28, and 7 on a pretty bad team. This year in a backup role for a Matt Murray, former Hartford Whaler, he was 10-4 and 3 with a .911 save percentage, .261 goals against. So I've really liked what Forsberg's done so far in this series. So he's going to be in consideration along with Mrazek, Vladar, and Askarov for our backup goalie spot. But we're not yet going to pursue that. So we gave offers to Brock Besser, Sam Steele, and Ivan Provorov. And we'll sim ahead a little bit and see how these offers go. We get a trade offer right away from Washington. And they're interested in JT Compher, offering a 2 in 2027. And we'll keep that in mind for later on. Sim ahead a few more days here. As Sam Steele does sign with Hartford, likely to be a 3rd line playmaker for us. Brock Besser also joins Hartford, as he'll probably be on the 1st or 2nd line. Now just waiting on Ivan Provorov. Vancouver looking to get rid of Ethan Bear and Ivan Provorov as well. So we go 3 for 3 on our free agent signings, and not as impactful as I was hoping for in this free agency period, but I'll take them nonetheless. Very good additions here. And now we'll look at our backup goalie. And it looks like Scott Wedgwood's actually off the market, so he signed quick somewhere. And now we're left with just Mrazek, Vladar, and Askarov. Looks like Forsberg signs elsewhere as well, so he got snatched up real quick. I didn't think he would sign so quickly. So I think it really comes down to Mrazek. He was pretty much the starter last year for Chicago. Let's see his playoff stats. Actually, he didn't play in the playoffs, so I think Chicago, did they trade for Semyon Varlamov, and then he took over? But either way, good 2 seasons here by Mrazek, starting nearly 60 games each year. And I think if we brought him in as a backup, that would be a very good addition behind Jacob Markstrom. Let's take a look at Askarov, though. A restricted free agent, let's bump it up to like 2.85 and see what that would net. So we'd have to give up a 2nd round pick And I don't really want to do that. What if it's 252? That would still be a second. And it would be. So we're out on Askarov. We're not giving up a second. So now we'll sit here and offer Mrazek a 1-year deal. And we'll go up to 1.9 for a backup goalie. Now we'll sim ahead, and I expect Mrazek to join, as he does. So 4 for 4 in free agent signings. We pretty much addressed everything we wanted to, although we were really hoping for Austin Matthews. So we have $9.98 million left. Patrick Kane's still out here on the market. And let's see who's offering him. He's getting offers from Boston and Minnesota, 2 very good teams. Brad Marchand also still out here, and Victor Hedman as well. So it looks like we're not going to bring Patrick Kane back, unfortunately. Brock Besser will kind of take his spot. But I don't know. Like, should we trade Arvidsson maybe and bring Patrick Kane back? And yeah, we're just going to call an audible here. We're going to go for it. We're going to try and bring back Patty Kane. He's been so good for us. We'll just bump him up to an even $8 million and see if that brings him back for a 3rd season here with the Hartford Whalers. Let's see if we can... And he actually goes to Boston. Wow. So he upped his demands and he decides to go back to an original 6 team, as he's in quest for his 4th Stanley Cup now in the Eastern Conference. So that kind of hurts. I mean, Brad Marchand is still on the market here. Should we go after him? A 91-point season, a 95-point season in year 1 of this franchise. Only the second and third time he's eclipsed 90 points, doing it in his age 36 and 37 season. He wants 8.7, and we'll sim ahead a little bit and see how far his demands drop. Bummer there, we missed out on Patrick Kane. I thought he was going to come along for another ride with us. Compher. Looks like we can net a 2nd-round pick for Compher. Chicago also interested, along with Washington. We got a couple scout contracts. We actually signed Ryan McDonough as a scout. And we'll check back in on Marchand. Still without an offer here. Zadina's still on the market. What about Nolan Patrick? How's he doing? I don't think he has any offers. Is he at center or right wing? I guess right wing, right? I don't see him anywhere. He's got to be at center. Oh, here he is. I've just missed him the whole time. So he doesn't even have an offer yet. So Nolan Patrick likely to return as well. We'll keep simming along here. And we do get Ronald Webb back as our assistant head coach. Just our assistant coach, as we gave him a little bonus there. Check back in. And do we even really need Marchand? That's something I'm going to have to think about a little bit, but still no offers here, so we don't have to think about it quite yet. Christian Dvorak, he was just signed to Arizona, and already they're offering a trade. And with that, let's actually look in on some signings and get a little update here. Cal Foote to Calgary, Cam Atkinson to Montreal, Adam Henrique back to Anaheim, Mike Hoffman to the Flyers. And I wish it gave you dollar amounts. It just says the length of these contracts. Cody Glass, I think, returns to Calgary. On a very weak class, Anze Kopitar to Montreal, maybe his last season. Marc-Andre Fleury to Washington. David Perron goes over to Boston with Patrick Kane. TJ Oshie to Minnesota. Van Riemsdyk to Florida. Joe Pavelski to the Canucks. So Scott Wedgwood goes to Columbus. Anton Forsberg back to Ottawa. Max Pacioretty to St. Louis. Gavrikov signs a 5-year deal there with Dallas. Adam Larson, a 4-year deal with the Red Wings. Vegas signs Ville Husso for 4 years. Claude Giroux, a 2-year deal with the Lightning. Slavin signs with Montreal. And Calgary signs Igor Shesterkin, probably the biggest move of this free agent period. Anyone else of note? Kyle Palmieri back to the Islanders. Jacob Middleton to Pittsburgh. Cody Ceci goes back to Edmonton. Jake Bean, a 5-year deal with Seattle. Nino Niederreiter, 4 years with Calgary. And Winnipeg retained Cole Perfetti. And Logan Thompson, a 5-year deal. The new starting goaltender there in Seattle. So we'll keep it moving here. They offer us Sprong. We do not want Sprong, Seattle. We'll check back in. And Marchand still without an offer. Another trade offer here. Kyrou. If he didn't have a 6-year deal, we might consider that. But we're not taking on any long-term deals like that unless it's a absolute superstar. And Marchand actually goes off the market. I'm kind of glad because I don't think we were really seriously considering him, but that would have been something fun. And he actually goes to Minnesota. So Brad Marchand goes to the Minnesota Wild fresh off a Stanley Cup victory. He'll look to help them repeat. Now we'll just skip ahead into August. A bunch of trade offers here. And we're now at August 1st as we decline a bunch of offers. Now I think it's time we make a trade. And let's see what JT Compher will get us back. I know we had a few offers there for a 2nd-round pick. I forgot, I think it was Chicago. I think we'll maybe just give him to Chicago. Now they want to give us a 3. Let's revisit this. Because they didn't sign anyone since that last offer, right? Doesn't look like it. They did sign Jason DeBrusk, but nothing else really of note. Let's see if they'll give us a 2027 second rounder. And they do reject that. It did look like Boston, though, was willing to give up a 2nd rounder for Compher. And I think we'll just take that deal. Compher only 30 years old, but like I said, we have Patrick, we have Evans kind of in that same mold. And we need to create another roster spot for someone like Graham Clark or Jacob Perreault coming up from the AHL. So yeah, Boston, the only team there offering a 2. And we're going to take that. So that's a tough loss as we trade away JT Compher. That affects Andrew Mangiapane negatively. They had a good rapport there in the locker room. But like I said, we just need to create some more roster spots here for guys coming up. Now with that trade, it opens up a spot for Graham Clark, Jacob Perreault, or Will Coyle, or even Connor McMichael. One of those guys are going to have to step up and prove themselves worthy of a roster spot. Daniil Tarasov gets offered a 2-year deal by Montreal. We'll just match that and bring him back as our AHL goalie. Really the last order of business I want to take care of in this episode, I do want to trade Tyler Tucker. And Arvidsson there getting a 2 offered there by Carolina. I do want to trade Tyler Tucker. We kind of have a logjam there at left defensive. I was going to say left defensive end. We're not playing football at the left defenseman spot. With Boldu coming up, Daniel Chaika coming up. So Tyler Tucker is expendable at this point. And it looks like he'll just net us back a 6th-round pick. Let's see there. Tampa Bay, a 6th. They're offering Florida, Edmonton, Colorado, and Buffalo, Boston. We'll take it from Edmonton. So we get a 6th-rounder there in 2027 as we ship Tyler Tucker there to the Edmonton Oilers. And that does leave us with a good bit of cap space at like $13 million. I mean, we're about to bring Zadina and Patrick back. And we'll just go ahead and sign them. Zadina's only offer, he wants 3.7. We'll give him that. And Patrick, we'll just give him 1.9. But he wants a 3-year deal. We'll offer him 1 at 1.5. And then we'll see what that brings our cap space down to. Another trade offer there for Arvidsson. And why are these teams, like Dallas just signed Gavrikov and they just signed Aho, and now they're trying to trade him? That does not make sense. Zadina signs and Patrick signs. So our roster pretty much set as we're about to head into year 3 of this Hartford Whalers expansion franchise. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, I really wish that there's a little more action here in this free agency, but, we were only able to, play with the cards we're dealt with. Looking ahead at next year, potential free agents: Connor McDavid, Crosby, Kaprizov, Hedman, Malkin, Patrick Laine, Marchand, Connor Bedard, Jack Eichel, Kyle Connor. So, Nietzsche's, a lot of good players potentially on the market next year. So, I'm kind of happy that we kind of stood back and we didn't spend too much. Just under $10 million in cap space, and maybe we could even make a trade here as we head into the regular season, or maybe, soon into the regular season if there's a team willing to sell a good player or something. But I wish we could have done more, but as I said, we can only play with the cards we're dealt with. So I would really like to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you think about this offseason. Let me know what you would have done differently. Let me know some moves that you maybe liked. We brought in Ivan Provorov, Brock Besser, and Sam Steele, along with Peter Mrazek as our backup goalie. So the team won't be too different next year. We also bring back Lindell, Mangiapane, and a few other guys. But the team won't be too different next year. But I expect us to kind of compete again and vie for a playoff spot here in the Eastern Conference. So, as always, everybody, it's been real and be well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.